So, Lizzie, let's see if it should bring the live stream.
It's still setting it up.
Okay.
Slow tonight. There, you should have it now.
Let's see. Go to. Might have to refresh it.
Slow tonight.
Oh, you're gonna have to click on YouTube. It sounds like you have an echo.
There you go.
YouTube and mute it. You have to.
I just gotta get there. Me and this mouse is no better than the last one.
Yeah, I know.
Anybody see that? Here it is.
You're gonna have to click on YouTube. It sounds like you have an echo.
Me and this mouse is no better than the last one.
Yeah, I know. No, but leave that high.
All right, where's mute? Oh, there it is. You gotta find mute. Me and this mouse.
I know, because and actually I was sending it that way. And
I don't know where it is. Where's mute? No, not yet.
Kevin, does he have to point the mouse at the other side, like that thing on the wall?
We're gonna find out tonight.
It doesn't, it's not the same.
No, it's not. Good call.
That's
We succeeded, finally. Thank you.
All set.
Yep.
Okay, I'll see you guys in a minute.
Yeah, bye. Started at the corner of it.
I know, I had to go.
Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. We've learned Lori's out tonight on vacation. Our first order of business is to approve minutes from our August 15th meeting. So we have a copy. Let's review them. Any changes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I'll second it. In favor? Go. In terms of my report, our water levels are definitely dropping fast. 10 days of no rain has certainly helped that. Yep. The outflows have still been pretty high, although tomorrow they lower them quite a bit. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. We were at 245.31 this morning. That's more than 6 inches down from last month's meeting. On our water system study, The final engineering report will be completed in early October. It's essentially done. They're finishing up the asset management portion of that project, and that could identify additional deficiencies. So they want to wait till that's done before they release the engineering report. The next steps, once we get this and the board accepts it, will be in the spring to be applying for grants to do a final design and get some of the work done. Community Peer Project is wrapping up. There's a public meeting next Tuesday at 6 o'clock here in the Village Hall, where the consultant will be on site to review the process, the sites considered, and the recommended sites and why. The South Municipal Parking Lot, we had hired Martin and LaJudas to help design some drainage into that so that we could eliminate the water. We were hoping that project was around $300,000 because we think we could afford that. It's not final yet, but the estimated cost is $535,000. So we're going to have to try to be creative on where we find that money, because we certainly don't have that sitting around. East Breakwall, construction will start next spring sometime. Could be as early as March, could be as late as July. The contractor does plan to work 7 days a week. It is the same contractor that did Charles Point. They'll be using granite along the bottom of it. The dimensional rocks that were placed, I don't know, several years ago, will be removed. I think they're going to put them on the bay side, and then all the work will be done on the lake side. But they'll be driving through the channel all summer long, 7 days a week, unloading the rock in the county beach like they did for Charles Point. Great Lakes St. Lawrence Cities Initiative, which is an organization that represents cities and villages around the Great Lakes, both in Canada and the United States. Got a grant from the National Fish and Wildlife Federation to work with towns and villages, cities and villages on areas of concern. So we worked with them and the engineers that they hired with that money on the Sodus Point Park Beach. So it talks about access along Willow Park down those rocks, changing that, changing where the kiddie beach used to be to have a kayak launch and access for people to get in the water, and a lot of plantings to try to control the sand that blows around. This is like all plans, it's a plan. They've identified where we can get grant money potentially. It obviously has to be a joint project with the county. Kevin Rooney was part of the project, so he's well aware of it and supportive of it. I don't know who he shared it with in the county. It's also on our website if anybody wants to take a look at it. The old water plant, through Wayne County Planning, we've applied for a grant to first assess any need for remediation. There are people that say there's lots of chemicals in the ground. There's people saying it's pristine. We obviously need to have it reviewed, studied, whatever the right word is. If they do find anything, the grant will pay to have it remediated. And then we hope to get the building on the ground, since it's decaying further and further all the time. And sooner or later will really become a safety hazard. That's it for my report.
Bill, just one or two things here for the fire department. We're looking at trying to figure out what to do with that one bay that 42's in after we surplus that, to open the bay up enough to be able to get the boat in and out and keep it inside during the winter. And the other thing was that we talked about was with the public pier is trying to include someplace for the water rescue to be tied up to, so that they don't have to pay a rent every year to put it as a dock. Other than that, that's all I got from the firemen.
Okay. Kathy?
Ambulance report, we had 25 responses in August, 10 were billable, 15 were public assists, and 10 needed advanced life support assist. A new CPR machine has been ordered and will be coming soon. Silver Waters had yet again another cardiac save, assisted this time with a county paramedic. So we've had a use for this equipment and machines. The patient involved in this cardiac save should be home this week. The 2-person crews that we've had over the summer are done now, and they're gonna be looking at the numbers to see how that went for this past year. Several members are attending a vital signs conference in October, and Silver Waters will be doing in-house training on the CPR machines for people involved with that. That's the ambulance.
We only have CPR class at the very end.
Oh, jeepers. There will be a CPR, that's a community CPR class.
Yeah.
Yes, a community CPR class in October. Yes, that's a very important thing, and I will be attending that myself. All right.
How do you sign up though?
I gotta get a date yet from Bruce, and then, we'll probably just go through the ambulance, or even here if I don't wanna add,
Constant contact.
yeah, I don't wanna add something else over here, but, I'll let you know as soon as I do. I'll know this week on the
That's
time.
yeah, that's.
Yeah. There's several people that want it in the village, as well as we have several members as well. I'm sorry I had my back to you guys.
I'll try to summarize this communication report. So my responsibility includes communications, which includes the visitor center. And this summer I was in there several times, talking to the people, reviewing, what had been done in the past. As part of the Village of Sodus Point receives money from the town of Sodus, and I needed to make a presentation to them as they work on their budget, a presentation about what has been done at the information center. And Bob Jones gave me a very good summary of how many people, we've had there. We had 1,215 people who signed the guest book. That was for 46 days, weekends only, it averages 26 visitors per day. All right, which is a little bit less than the previous year. We had some not so great weekend weather, as you can recall, and that kind of cut down on some of it. I looked at it, everything that was being done and what we had to offer, and I think we need a map, a village map. We have a very good one that was done by, it's a historical map that was done by Bruce Farrington for a history thing, but we don't have anything, this is the map, and this is, places you can go see. I think that's one thing that's needed. We also, I think, could be a little bit better on lists of restaurants. A list of, and not just in Sodus Point, in the area, and then also a list of closest. You need a vet, you need a grocery store, you need a pharmacy. These sound like simple things, but we don't have that. I haven't had a chance to do all my background work on it. It ended up, with some of these changes, I estimate it'll be a little bit more than last year. I'm still getting with the tourism, Wayne County Tourism, working with Carly. So it's just, I made the presentation. It's still very much in flux, some of these numbers, but I think we can improve what we've got here and look at alternatives to see what we can do to, keep our costs as low as we can. And that's all I have on, that's all I have. Recreation, I will point out one thing. We're gonna have a fall spectacular at the end of October. The neighborhood association is putting that on along with some businesses and whatnot. So look for more information on that, and let's hope for good weather.
Yep.
October 26th.
Thank you. Bud?
Your highway department, got a lot going on, completed brush collection for September. There's only 2 remaining dates for brush collection, and that's gonna be October 7th and the 21st. As always, try and put it out where they can get at it, so not digging up your yard. They've been trimming roadsides, cutting shoulders, rebuilding the salters, getting ready for the winter. Fixing trucks, removal of flower baskets and whatnot. They're currently still going over the Willow Park parking lot as well as Lake Road. In these months meeting, we're looking forward to have some trees cut That'll become a problem in the future. As always, any questions, please reach out. Lori, you just emailed me her board report, and do you want me to read that?
We have no board.
Oh, you have it?
Yep, it's in your
Okay.
packet. What's in your
I
packet?
mean,
Okay.
that's in the-
But basically, the LWRP, we're waiting on both the consultant and the state.
All right.
The playground is continuing to try to raise money, and they held several meetings over the summer, and they monitored the use, which seemed pretty good over the summer of the playground. EV stations, we do have information to talk about that later in the meeting. Two of our 4 grants were in fact approved, but when you look at the utilization of our existing one, she's not of the opinion that we should run right out and sign these. She's just saying we should slow the grant down. So we can talk about what that might mean. She's advocating for parking on Centel Street. And that's her report. I don't have a report from Kevin. You got the verbal one, Kevin, or no? All right. Public comments. Anybody in the room? Right?
That's Switzer, is, you don't know me. It's about the right of way, and it started out, if you look at the map there, a 20-foot, and we were trying to get to 20-foot from Ketchum's. Then the village decided, well, 10-foot is enough, went through the courts and all that, spent all this money and time. And then the fence is only about 5 foot. Never was it opened up to the full 10 foot. Now it's about 18 inches. There's a great big rock painted blue, and there's 2 flower pots. And you gotta go like this to get around it to use that right of way. It looks like a private entrance to their docks or something like that. It does not look like our right of way, the 150 some people signed. I think it should be opened up to the full 10 feet, nothing absurd, nothing blocking it. Somebody said it's about a 4-wheeler going through there. That is Bilfie's problem. That sheriff is worthless as far as unregistered vehicles in this town. It's like ridiculous. On Market Rite Road, there are kids tearing up my lawn. They actually bulldozed one of my signs once. They won't do it again. I tried to put in steel posts and stuff. But all over town, people are driving unregistered vehicles on the road.
And we've spoken to the sheriff about that.
And this includes golf carts. I see that there is a procedure going in. I read the proposals at the state level to have golf carts permitted on certain roads. I think that should definitely stick to the motor vehicle level. They should be registered, insured, because if this village allows unregistered vehicles on the road, somebody gets hurt, they're in the lawsuit. But I really want that right away opened up. I'm gonna open up the petition again and open up the business.
The village placed the rock to keep jerks that drive their golf carts through there from doing it.
If they've been doing that, do it with a motor vehicle law. Don't take our stuff away.
The sheriff was called on that incident. Nothing's happened. So we have to find a way to keep them out. Unfortunately, we have some disrespectful people that
Right.
live or come to this village.
That's a little problem. That is not the problem of the right of way. That is the problem of motor vehicle law. And I think we gotta start pushing for enforcement of it because it just squeezed down the right of way that we fought so hard to get.
I'll talk to the homeowners about those plants because they must have done
I
that.
think the rock's gotta go and the plants. And also the fence is not legal. We never finished up the legality of it. They opened up a gate that was like 5 foot. It's supposed to be 10 foot. So
Okay,
that's my.
thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Matt?
Actually, she brings up an amazing point. Why don't we have a kiosk where you could tap on and see what stays are available at Sodus Point, what the menus, who's playing in Sodus Point? You go into that little hut that you're paying people to stay in, right? You're paying them to give information about Sodus Point. How much do you pay them a year?
$5,000, $6,000,
How many of them?
3 of them
Total is 5,000 or each?
total. They're only there one at a time.
So have you ever gone to the mall and seen the nice stand-up TVs that you can click on, you can see entertainment, click on that, see who's playing that night. Click on stays at Sodus Point. I have apps for all of my stays in Sodus Point that'll tell you what's available, how many rooms, how much, and all that. And all of us that have Airbnbs and you want to do something with the Airbnbs, why don't you bring all of us together and put stays in Sodus Point, bring in all the businesses that are gonna have entertainment in Sodus Point, and put it on a beautiful touch screen, just like you do in the mall. Where is this? Where is that? Where's the lighthouse? How do I get there? What's the lighthouse doing? Because you go to that kiosk, the people there don't really know what's going on in Sodus Point. Ask them. Ask them who's playing, what bands are playing, what kind of music do they play? But you're employing
No,
people
you're correct.
that are too old to be doing this. And I have nothing against them. Actually, they're sweet people. But the problem is that you need to understand what's going on in Sodus Point. Yeah, they're old.
You can't say too old about people.
Sure I can. I'm old. I can't relate to my kids. My kids tell me about stuff all the time, and I'm like, I have no idea who that is. It sounds horrible. So, but because you want to see what's going on in Sodus Point, you need to see what's going on in Sodus Point.
In
The
a perfect
bands,
world,
what they're
that would
playing,
be-
what they're doing, you need to bring more business in Sodus Point. I think we're pushing away a lot of people. And, you know, I think that a simple app or a kiosk or something, I mean, we gotta get into it's gonna be 2025, Jesus Christ. You know, it's just like the parking thing. Charge for the parking on the street. Get an app, get a thing, you know, we don't need a guy telling people what they do because he's not around. We've had somebody this week that was moving their car around everywhere, right, Phil? They were moving their car around all over the place, staying in a camper. And Sodus Point for free, just hanging out, parking here, moving one day, but we need somebody that's gonna be able to, you know, oh, should I pay for parking? So put it on an app. Look into it. I don't know. But I think you hit on a great point. We need to know what's going on in Sodus Point, who's playing this weekend. So, and yeah, it's not age, I mean, I'm not getting on you because of age, but I'm just saying that it's
Just a civil rights thing.
I hate these app things. No, it's not civil rights.
Thank you.
Oh, it is.
It's, life has moved
It is,
on,
it is.
and our kids use apps, and I hate apps. I would rather people telling me what to do. I
Thank
can use your phone. So, but whatever, but you know what I mean.
Anybody else in the room?
We touched on the EV charging stations. You're gonna discuss that later. You know how difficult it is to get those grants. So I really would recommend that you take, there's no cost to us, to the village, is that correct?
No, that's not.
Oh, there is a cost to the
There is a
village?
cost to the village, Maxine, yes.
Oh, I didn't think there was a cost to the
There's
village.
always
It
a cost
wasn't
to the
before.
village.
One thing we've learned on all this
All of
energy
it.
stuff,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is,
All a
it
cost
all
to the
costs,
village.
yeah, it costs us money every single time.
Okay.
Streetlights are
Yes.
costing us a fortune, solar panels aren't saving us a nickel,
All
and
a cost.
Oh, my phone.
Not just.
Okay, well, listen, then, that makes a difference. But you know, we're not gonna get those grants every day, so. Thank
Right.
you.
Yep. Anybody else? Yes, Scott?
I just wanted to say Kathy did a great job at the presentation in front of the Sodus Board for the tourist group. And we'd love to collaborate with Sodus Point, and we're gonna do the same thing on that map thing for the county Sodus. So we have budgeted to start that already this spring. So, you did great.
James?
What's the south municipal parking lot?
The one on the south side of Greg Street by Hot Springs.
Willow Park.
Willow Park.
Willow Park, that's
Anybody else in the room?
I got one more thing. Can we dim our streetlights, please? It is light pollution. They are too bright.
It's like.
I can't see the stars at night. I love Sodus Point. They are very bright. Can we look into that? Can we, every month I'll put this up, can somebody do something about these lights? They're
Trying,
too
we are
bright.
trying.
That's navigation lights for the boaters that are stuck out on the
I saw a
lake.
thing that
They're trying to get back.
You know, you can see like the Great Wall of China from space, you can see Sodus Point, okay?
We technically have the capability, but those we dim don't seem any less bright than.
No, you gotta dim them, way dim them.
No, yeah. We give them the
Or can we get a kid with spray paint and just like, you know, kind of dim them a little bit?
All right, anybody on Zoom? Just unmute yourself or raise your hand.
I have a comment.
Okay.
I'll send the village board an email, but I spoke in the past about the traffic speed on Wickham. And I sent y'all an email sometime this summer about speed bumps in Oswego. And they are starting to put up, and that's where I live in the winter. And I forgot to start with, this is Jean Halligan. I live at 7598 2nd Street. They are putting more and more of these seasonal speed bumps up in Oswego on streets that are narrow, where people drive too fast, and also near the college because people tend to drive too fast. But after Labor Day, I was taking a walk after dinner, and there was even a sheriff's car that was going down Wickham Boulevard that I would guess at least 40 miles an hour. And he flew into the park. I flagged him down on the rebound and asked, I was actually standing in the crosswalk. The sheriff didn't even stop for me to cross the crosswalk. And so I was like, whoa, and I really flagged him down. He stopped and I talked with him. And I said, we're really trying to get people to go slower. But when the sheriffs drive that fast, and I said a little sarcastically, I'm sure you're taking care of business, which his face went ashen and white because there was nobody around. But we have a problem with the speed on Wickham, especially between 1st and 3rd. And I'll send you pictures of these, but they're actually really working. And at first I was like, oh, now you got to go over the bump. But it's controlling the traffic in very safe ways. And we need to do something about the speed on Wickham. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I was hoping that per the beach management plan, there would be a fall clean out. I haven't heard anything about it. I did look into the meetings for that. Maxine said in the spring they were public meetings where they talk about the dune. They're not. I got in touch with Lori Hayden. She said it's a voluntary group. The Lakeview Property Owners Association is not an HOA. I checked with the New York State Department of State. If they were a mandatory organization, there would be all sorts of fair housing and accessibility, blah, 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 to go with it, but they're not. It's a voluntary organization. There aren't meetings. There was 1 minutes of the meetings published online. I just wanted to mention that for the public comments, but we do need a fall clean out. And in the spring, there are 5 properties on 2nd Street that can clean out their sand. Only 2 of us did it. And after I put mine out there, filled the end of the street. My neighbor brought his out over the course of a week, day after day after day in a wheelbarrow, and we filled up the end of the street. It could be really bad next spring. And I know that if you're south of the coastal erosion hazard area, you're not obligated to have them truck it and put it back out on the beach. But for the 90 years my family's been here, we always put the sand back on the beach. It's always been the right thing to do. But a once a year clean out isn't enough to handle all the sand at the end of 2nd Street. And despite the meetings where they said there wouldn't be that much sand, I'm going to reiterate that last spring, I had over 3 feet of sand on the west side of my cottage. I never did get all of it cleaned out. And if you go, and then I'm starting to get a drift on the east side, and the drift is coming between 3rd and 2nd, which is something I brought up in those meetings, and I was told it wouldn't happen. It's not big, but it's happening. I have about 18 inches higher sand by my garden than I've had before. And I would really am hoping that you'll have a second clean out. And, you have to keep up on it, or it's a disaster. And once again, if you go into the winter high, let's say it's up 18 inches. When you come back in the spring, it won't be 36 inches. It'll be 45 or 48 inches. I've been managing this for 22 years since my mom died. It's the way it works. So I hope we hear something about a sand clean out. And then the last thing I want to say is I did send you all, and I'll let you answer the question in a second, an email about a lot of traffic and a lot of people on the dune at the end of 2nd Street. And these things happen organically. I don't want to have cameras in my front yard. I don't want to have to keep track of the whole beach. You have to be close enough to the camera to trigger the event. When I'm home and I see it, I'll take photos when they're bad and I'll let you know. But, you know, the people on the dune, it just happens, and it certainly isn't my doing, invitation. And we also had the joyous occasion of a school bus driving up and down 2nd Street about the time I sent you the email over the summer. And I want to say to my neighbors and friends that live in the area, the last time a school bus was driving up and down the street, I was able to get my assessment lowered. So I've got the photos if people want them, but I don't think it's right that we have buses driving up and down the streets. And my second question after the dune clean out is, do school buses go up and down the numbered streets, or do they let the kids off at Wickham? And do we have a regulation or a code about that? Because it's incredibly dangerous to watch that bus back up on 2nd Street on a busy summer weekend. Spoken from someone that had a couple kids and et cetera, et cetera. It's dangerous.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any information about a clean out, or can you get back to me, please?
I will talk to the chair of the beach advisory committee and find out what the plan is.
If we don't have a clean out, we're probably going to fill the end of the street up about 3 times in the spring. It's less work if we have a clean out. And what about buses on the numbered streets?
I don't know anything about it. We have no code on it.
We need to ban buses.
Thanks.
Let these kids walk, I walk 10 miles up
All right.
to school.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you.
Anybody else on Zoom? All right, we'll close public comment and move on to old business. First order of old business is chapter 175, vehicle and traffic. Did update parking comment under 175B from our last meeting.
Is that the only thing that we ended up having to do with, originally there was a couple of, verbiage or something in this, probably was taken care of?
Yep.
Okay. I'll make the motion that we accept 175. It was correct.
We still have Centel Street on there. And that was not agreed upon.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
All right, now we'll open the discussion.
The discussion was, and the whole thing is, what is the benefit to the village, to the taxpayers by taking that away? Where does the village benefit there? It's not a safety issue.
Oh, yes, it is. I tend to argue that.
Well,
I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish.
It's just as much of an encumbrance for those people walking from the marina in that parking lot across 14 as it is somebody getting out of their vehicle on Central Street and walking down the grass and crossing. It's the same amount of hazard, if you will. As far as vehicles being able to get in and out of there, we bring bigger tractor trailers up and down, going into Krenzers, in and out. Just last night, there were 2 dump trucks with 30-foot trailers with bobcats, dual bobcats on the back and whatever, that I watched make the turns right here in the village, in town. It's no different. If you can't drive from your destination to Sodus Point and pull into that giant parking lot, I mean, that's a 2.5 wide, I didn't get the measurement yet, but it's 2.5 vehicles wide. I know this, we had 6 snowmobiles lined across there before to pull into that camping area. If you can't make that turn off of Centel Street, in or out, in that wide of a space, then you've got no business driving that camper.
Well, this week one day, was no? Okay.
No, public's chance was before. This is up to the board.
You know, I'm just saying, that's issue number one, right? There's no benefit to the village to taking that away from the taxpayer. That's an overflow parking when other people come down. Otherwise, it benefits the Marines on Next and Bruce Carey and what they want to do there. It doesn't benefit the village. The people that don't pay to park there, now you're taking away, you know, umpteens up to 25 spots, you're taking that away. Regulate it, put a sign at one end so they're not parking in front of the fire hydrant, because obviously some people don't know the law. And then maybe give like a 10-foot encumbrance off the driveway, so parking between signs only, if you will. But to take away that whole parking area, we're just giving up that right of way of the village because one business entity wants it. It doesn't make sense.
So move Hollingsworth.
There's more
Pathway is close.
There's more than one business that doesn't want it, so.
There's only one that's come forward.
I have some information that,
Okay.
just some of the information that I've been through over the last few years. You say the safety thing. So far, twice this year, coming down through there with the ambulance coming back from calls, I've had people swing doors open because they're right out on the edge of the road, get over in the other lane. I've had people unloading carts out into the street because of where they're parked. We had the no parking signs between the corner of Centel Street and where about almost to where the pump station is on 14. We added those stop sign or those no parking signs back years ago because same situation. They were parking along the road. People that wanted to walk or ride bikes through there had to go out in the road to get around it. You're no different than that over on the other street. I talked with Jesse, and Jesse's not in favor of it. Obviously, we know that because of having people literally talk to him about the fact that, well, I was going to come up and have dinner, but with all the cars parked along there, I thought you were packed, so they kept right on going. I talked to him yesterday because I wanted to hear it myself. I know there's some of the owners of homes up through there. They're a little unhappy about the parking as well. And I just mentioned the Route 14 thing. Years ago, there was a sidewalk that went from down about where Bruce's gates are, went all the way up through there to the customs house that used to be up there. From that customs house, they went, I don't know if they went all the way to the Franklin house, but I think
They went all the way.
they came all the way
All the way
up.
to his place.
Yeah.
Frank, I got a question for you.
That's awesome.
The old big building that Keller's used to live in, what was that used for? Remember right there by the Franklin house, but over on the other side of the tracks?
It was a boarding house.
Boarding house.
Was it a boarding house?
There was a diner in the bottom too.
Okay, but anyways, the sidewalks went up through there, went to the customs, went up further. When the new owner took over, I believe probably the first owner, which would have been Art Reed probably,
Yes.
he tore all that stuff out, including the customs house, which was a shame. We keep talking about needing sidewalks around the village. Perfect spot to put sidewalks up through there so people can get from the marinas or the future campsite or whatever. I'm against it. I'm against parking cars in there. We just changed that down there on 14 for basically the same reason, because of people having to go out into traffic practically. I just think for 23 cars, that's why, let's see here. Oh, the report that Lori requested, a parking plan from Mr. Maxim and that. We got the parking plan. It has the drawings, it has the overflows, everything that was asked for.
But that speaks to his customers, his pay-to-play customers.
So I'll guarantee right now that those people that are parking along there are not Sodus Point residents coming in there. They are out-of-towners that are coming to go to the marina, which are friends, which in the end, they're customers.
Then why, my question is, why haven't they been parking there all summer long?
It should.
Why are there people on the street and not?
It shouldn't have stopped.
Because they're lazy. That's why they park there. They're lazy.
That may be.
All right,
And they're lazy.
Asking that
We've
question.
had discussion. All those in favor?
Wait, you can, how are you gonna stop discussion in the middle of discussion? Because you've got the
Because it's
vote
out
your
of, no,
way.
because it's out of control.
You're obviously in Bruce's pocket and it shows.
What?
And it shows.
So prove
I'm
it.
saying it out loud.
So prove it.
You don't live on Central Street. You don't live on Central
Rusty,
Street.
you're right. You're
That's
absolutely
right,
right.
so you don't know.
I don't.
All right, I know.
But that's a big ask. So why don't you prove it? Prove that he's in.
I wish I could. I wish I could.
So then
All
prove
right,
it.
we're getting
All right,
off
You can only
topic.
say certain things, stop and prove it.
Stop, please. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll vote
I don't think all of the opinions have been heard here today from the people that actually have to deal with this. So calling for a vote right now is a little bit early.
Hey Dave, can you unmute yourself, please? I took host from you.
Why is the whole meeting muted? They're not allowing participants.
Yep.
Wow.
There we go. Now we should be all set. All right, our next order of business is the EV charging stations. We originally applied for four locations, more than 4 stations. The ball field, the back of the firehouse, the lighthouse, and the pump station, lift station over on Route 14.
4 meaning 2 each.
Yes,
So
four
8.
locations.
4 locations, 8 total.
Yeah. Originally, they were all approved, then all the approvals were rescinded across the whole state. This has been a nightmare that Lori especially has been living through. So 2 are now approved. The one at the ball field is approved, or the 2 at the ball field are approved, and the 2 at the pump station are approved. Kevin did an analysis of the use of our existing station since the beginning of the year, and it's been used about 17% of the time. Obviously, it gets more use in the summer than in the winter. There doesn't ever seem to be people waiting.
I know the town of Sodus, I'm sorry, the town of Sodus just took their EV stations out behind the fire station.
We know why.
Village is Sodus.
I'm sorry, the village, I'm sorry, Scott. Sorry, wow.
Hey Dave.
I want to put
Hey
it
Dave.
But they took them.
Dave, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Fresh-
Dave, can I interrupt you?
Yep.
So we have a couple people who are doing disrespectful things. If you do that on here, you're going to be removed from the meeting. So that includes whiteboard, that includes your camera, anything like that. If you do that, you will be removed.
Okay.
So I'm encouraging everyone to stop that immediately.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was told that they had a, Scott, and maybe you have an idea. Were they on a trial basis or something that they could?
It's a money issue.
Okay,
They were free
okay.
and, we'll be careful what I say, but they were being abused by a couple of. Not me. I used them a couple times, but you can't get onto them, so.
Yeah, okay. The other thing I always wondered, was why and we've talked about it a couple times, may not have been financially feasible, but was putting the card reader on. I had somebody ask me the other day, geez, you come down here and we can charge our vehicles and it's not costing us anything. And
We can do that with our existing machine and with these new machines.
it was a question that was asked by one of the people here in the village, that's all.
And I think one time when we discussed these, because we've discussed them several times, we said we would charge one if we installed more. But we can.
Dave, there's no signs telling people that they can't park there if they're not EVs.
So that.
So there's non-EV
that
people
is-
parking.
You can't do that in New York State.
Sometimes.
So then why
that
have
is-
them?
Sometimes that's an issue. So like sometimes it might not be used because non-EV people are parked
there.
in,
Okay,
are parked
okay.
in those spots.
And people park overnight in there,
Yeah,
charging their
I
cars.
have witnessed that.
You do it. I'm calling you up. I'll call you up. You do it. You park overnight. But if I was using a charge and I needed to charge my car, that's not fair to me.
Yes, right.
So I don't
As soon as you get an electric
know.
motorcycle.
So our,
No, I park my motorcycle wherever I want, 'cause I can.
the decision we have to make is, do we want to move forward with either of these, or one of these, or none of these?
When you said that, you know, do you know what percentage or what our portion or
So
our portion would
make
be?
it, so yeah.
We have, there's two grants. This is the RG&E grant.
Yeah.
There's also a DEC grant that pays the other 10%. So it costs us nothing to install them. It costs us money to repair them, which we found out is very expensive. And
very difficult.
And we pay for the
No,
electricity.
actually, I figured out a way to make it not very difficult if you get the right people. You just have to make sure you don't go with who they say. You know, you just, I mean.
No, that's absolutely true.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Like you have to look out of the, you have to look out of the box.
According to Lori's report, the technology based on the grant that was applied may be outdated by the time they get installed,
Yes.
which could lead us to,
Yes.
you're sending good money after bad, because now all of a sudden you're gonna put an obsolete unit in that's gonna work for X amount of time, and then.
So it was with the ones down in Willow Park, it was, the time frame of how long it was supposed to last and how long it really lasted was not, it was
very different.
It was very different. You know, I mean, it's projected, at the time it was new. This is not new anymore. So it should be pretty accurate. But
Well, the infrastructure bill is supposed to place 130 million units. They've produced this many. This many, just saying, that was 3.5 years.
Do we want to make a decision? Do we want to table this for Lori next month? There's no, to my knowledge, there's no time frame that we have to accept this.
I make a motion, we table it till Lori's back so we can get a little bit more from that. And I mean, Bud's pretty much, you know, let us know about that. And you guys have got the experience of what we've run into so far. You know, it's not like they're gonna be knocking the doors down here to charge cars from now until next April. So, you know, I would put it off until Lori got her teeth back in it again and see what direction to go.
So this is based on this from 2020? Is that what this whole design is based on, something that's 4 years old?
That's when we originally applied. The equipment, she got an email this afternoon, and the equipment will meet the current standards, whatever they are.
Current standards now means it's already.
It'll be obsolete in 6 months.
By the time it gets installed.
So from that point of view, you know, I was always going, well, we gotta wait on the computer or whatever, there'll be a new one. Well, you know, you just gotta jump in,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
on that, but.
Yeah, to me, the question is more, should we have one or two more in another location for the convenience of the people that drive EVs? That's really the question. The technology is gonna change forever. We'll always be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. The one for the lighthouse was not approved?
No. And the one for behind the fire department wasn't either, and what better way to get a whole bunch of people to park here instead of down there?
Yeah.
The people that drive EVs, at least the ones I know, are willing to walk, unlike the rest of us.
Voters, they're lazy people. They voted EV.
As of March of last year, all of the vehicles registered in New York State, 0.6%. So I don't think by tabling this for a month, we're gonna.
No, we're not losing
hold anybody back.
Alright, so we're all okay tabling it.
Yes.
Alright, that's what we'll do. On to new business. We did receive a thank you letter from the Sunshine Parade organizers, Corey and Howard Potter. Once again, Mother Nature acknowledged the name Sunshine for the auto parade and cleared the skies to allow another successful parade to kick off Sodus Point's end of summer celebration. While the number of cars participating was smaller than usual due to the early weather, it was a great parade. The number of spectators seemed to be greater than in years past, which was very interesting to me, but that was definitely true.
I would say that.
The success of the parade was due to help and assistance from many individuals and organizations. Pleased to extend our thank you to Tracy, Melanie, and Kevin in the office, Silver Waters Ambulance, Sodus Point Fire Department, Wayne County Sheriff Department. Everyone worked well together to make Sodus Point's annual Sunshine Auto Parade safe and enjoyable for the community. Thank you. The question that has come up is, do we continue this on Labor Day, or do we move it back to its original spot as part of Independence Day? So I'm interested in the board's.
Well, I know, you know where the fire department stands as far as being in town on Labor Day. You know, I would dare say that they'd rather see it all done on July 4th and maybe expand the fireworks with some of the money you're using now, if that is feasible, to make the fireworks better on the 4th, get the car parade on the 4th, get this stuff all done in one weekend. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to take away, because, you know, everybody says Labor Day is the end of the year. Well, I'll tell you what, this year Labor Day, you could have shot a gun off that, excuse me. Yep, let me rephrase that. You could have rolled sidewalks off many days early, you know? I just think we ought to do it all and do it up halfway, some decent size, right? July 4th weekend and, or a couple of days in there, but however it has to work. That would be my suggestion. And it would be easier on EMS too.
Yeah, Bud, you're okay with that?
What do the
have no
Potters,
preference one way or the other.
what do the Potters
They
say?
like Labor Day.
They like.
But they'll do whatever.
Yep, but they'll do whatever. You know, I can see advantages for both. You know, the thing with the fire department not being around, that's always gonna be an issue.
On Labor Day it is.
Yeah, I would be okay with moving it back. I would be okay.
I will share that news.
Okay, cool.
The fireworks were awesome.
Thank you. That was,
Just wanted that out.
that was a new company for us.
They were great. They were great.
All right, we have 2 tree quotes for a number of trees on Lake Street, Loomis Street, North Fitchview, Central Way, Central Way.
Don't forget the one on my side yard. It's a red maple.
Is that not on there?
Is it on
No,
there?
I know, I'm just.
Oh.
I'm being smart aleck. I'm just being a smart aleck. I'm sorry.
We have a quote from Don and John that totals $8,825, and we have a quote from Empire Tree for $7,100.
I move we go with Empire Tree. If it's apples to apples, excuse the expression, which cutting a tree down pretty plain.
Yep.
Tree to tree.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Ready to pay the bills?
All right, so bills 9/1 through 9/62, $140,888.72. General fund, $83,038.78. Water, $35,960.80, and wastewater, $21,889.14.
Make a motion.
Hold on just a second before we do that. I came in to sign the bills, but I couldn't find them. I looked in there. But it came to my attention that we paid $15,000 roughly for the water main break to tear up the.
We haven't paid anything,
Okay,
and I'm challenging the bill.
okay. That was my question, because that's,
It's not included in this.
okay, because phone calls were made and other quotes were given, and that's about 10 times what somebody else charges for an emergency service.
I'm not aware of anybody else providing any quote to the village, but,
Nobody provided a quote, I'm just saying,
It wasn't, this is not what this is.
okay, all right,
and the bills are on the table over there.
okay.
All right,
You make a motion, we pay it.
Did you second that already?
Yeah, I second it.
Sorry, all in favor?
I,
We'll get you there.
All right, and then I also have a resolution for a budget transfer that I have to do because of the insurance that was over, it was over what we had budgeted already for the year. So you have the copy of what we need to take from, and so this is, I think this is gonna be the very last amount for the right of way, for the attorneys. That it's a tiny amount, but, and then the other three are the invoices for the insurance.
I make a motion, we make the transfer if it's, you need.
I'll second
That's
that.
32,000 total we have to transfer.
Yes,
Okay,
Yep.
how much is going to the attorney?
$482.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay.
All in favor?
All right,
Any other business anybody would like to bring?
I make the adjourn.
A second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Thank you very much. Kevin, if you get control, just turn this off.